live in 2, 3, 1, go. Hey, True Blue. It's Kaz here. I just saw the Chronicles of Simon. I'll be on the screen in about 45 seconds. If you haven't subscribed, do it now. This is the channel you've come to. The place that says, I've got nothing else to effing do on Friday. We've got Mr. Buckaroony here, who delved down low enough. He did a video on ration packs today. For those that want to feel like you're in the gulag, make sure you go and check that out. But to be honest, the ration pack is nice once. But once you've got 6 months ahead of you and the same ration pack for the 6 months ahead of you, the novelty wears off very quickly. Welcome, team. It's Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz, and I have the ever-distant sounding Lauren.
Hello.
She knows some Beatles songs, as you heard. You say goodbye, she says hello, hello, hello. I looked on there before and I saw Pescaro Gobble Gobble is here, which is also turkey fish.
Yep.
But I don't want to speak in other jargons that maybe you can't understand. Josh is back with us, Bick with us. We've got Dave D, salute with the left hand. Did you know who your boss is, Dave D? When you look up who is the commander of Australian forces, it's always going to come up with one name. Let us know without looking at Google what that name is and put it there and see who's the first person to come up with who is the commander of all units in Australia. If I eat this oxygum, I can breathe underwater.
Yeah.
I feel I can't play sports even before these glasses are on my scone.
Your sister's here.
Damn her, she's tracked me down.
She's great. I actually really like your sister.
I love you, Lisa, but not in that kind of way.
Of course not.
We've got a good video here today for you, and we're going to be talking about your job. Does it suck? You know, we're going to be talking about why wouldn't someone join the military just to give a lifestyle, a complete, what would you call it, envelopment of an experience. Why wouldn't you give it a go for 4 years to see what doors it opens for you? GG.
Great comment. Can I read it?
Yes.
Emperor Toast has said, hey Kaz, I haven't been on here in a while. I used to watch your streams before I enlisted. You really helped me. I'm now on my 3rd year as a digger at 1st Armoured.
Devil's Horns. The Armoured Corps would be my second choice of corps in the Australian Army, and the reason is, takes my sunglasses off for effect, because they share the forward line. You know, they do the same as us, except in the protection of their carriers, but it's not because they're lazy, because it invokes more work. It's because they love the salami, but they don't want us to know what they do with it when we're not watching. To you, mate, toast the Emperor. Fantastic. I hope you love your black beret. I hope you're allowed to wear it with OH&S and slamming cargo hatches. And you must be very excited about the upcoming vehicle choices in the Land 400 scheme. We've got Ed B from the USA,
Yeah.
who even stutters in comments. Woot woot.
Yep. Oh, and Timmy Doust is here. It's always nice to see Timmy.
Tom Doust.
Yep.
We're hoping today that Obama-Biden or O'Biden shuts up, because every time he talks the Australian stock exchange collapses. So commiserations to all those that have shares on the ASX in Australia, which tanked after Australia tanked in the last 40 minutes of trade. I'll just put these back on. Ed?
Yeah. I really think you need to wear glasses more. Your sister agrees with me. And I keep telling you, you actually look really good in your glasses.
But I look like I can't play sports. Remember, I'm an undefeated... No, I am an only defeated boxer.
Yeah. But you
So,
look distinguished.
that's right. So if anyone has a problem with me, feel free to bring on the gloves, because you don't want to be the first person that I ever beat. If you want to really give yourself a shock, go onto YouTube and look up Cots, the King of the Streets. why you'd go and fight another man surrounded by other savages with bare knuckles on cement where no one can come and help you, where there's no rules, but it's entertaining all the same. That's
Can I just say something?
of course.
Turkey Fish has said in related news he actually landed a job. That is great, Turkey Fish, because he had a disappointment recently with the ADF. So hopefully things will start turning around now. Hopefully
Yep, let us know, Turkey Gobble. We want to know what you're doing now, and I bet you it's better than Simon. And for those that didn't get a chance to have a look at the thumbnail that we made for today's video, there is so many jobs that suck in this world, and I'd really have to ask you, does a job suck if you don't know it sucks? You know? Do you like your career? Do you like your job? Let us know in comments below. We're interested. What do you do if you want to share it with us? And where is it on the suck meter? 1 being the worst, 10 being the job you love.
Well, I could say about mine. I could say about tattooing.
Yep.
That would be probably a 10. I don't think it's... no, on the suck meter it's probably a 1. It's not too bad.
Okay.
It gets paid well. It's kind of fun. You get to be creative. You meet lots of interesting people.
Ed B just said that his bladder is failing because of the background here. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, Lauren.
Yeah, no, I think it doesn't suck at all, really, tattooing. For me, I like it as a job.
I think it'd be fantastic unless you were just doing fish hooks.
God, I would just, yeah. No,
Hidden meaning on this one, team.
Not at all. You know you weren't doing very well if that's what you were up to.
That's it. We've got Dave Penson. It's got rid of all the name colours.
Not for me, it hasn't.
I can't see the greens. I can't see the blues. Can you see that in chat? On people's names?
Yeah, I can see that.
I can't see it here. It's a fugazi here. Fake diamond.
Oh.
We've got so much news because we haven't been on for nearly a week, and there's a reason for that. And let's start off with something a little bit more serious for the starters. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to mention any names here. Ed B, it's probably good you hear this one too. And the thing we're going to say next, I understand it's late there. We had someone reach out for help on the stream, the last stream that we were on, okay, which was about 6 days ago, and they were very, very open with the fact that where they were from and the troubles they were having. Now that person reached out and we said come and get in contact with us, and they reached out and then wanted communication time, which straight away I cleared my books, didn't stream, so I could speak to this person. And ultimately what happened was they went radio silence for nearly 24 hours. And then when I said, hey mate, I cleared my book for you sort of thing, where were you, what's going on, that was when they let me know, no disrespect, they didn't know how to respond, they didn't know how to communicate, their world was falling apart, and they just didn't feel up to communicating, right? Yeah. So we sent straight through to them, not knowing if their story was legitimate, etc. The Beyond Blue number, and I'd spoken to Lauren as counsel to say what should we do here, and it basically came down to, okay, we've given the Beyond Blue number to him, and then from there it went back into silence, and then we found out ultimately that situations occurred. I don't know any of the details on it, none of that's been divulged, but let's just say the person was legitimately feeling what they were typing. So never actually pay someone off that's leaning forward and asking, how do I get help? You know, and yeah, so...
You did the right thing, you reached out, you know, you don't want anyone to think that you won't.
Well, the point I'd probably get at is we didn't respect that person's right to privacy.
No.
Once we realised they could be in real trouble, we did contact where they were from, okay, to let them know that there is basically a broken bird within your midst. So if one of your friends says, if you love me, if you trust me, you'll keep this between us, you don't keep it between you and them.
No, there's some things that are more important.
Yep.
There is some.
Absolutely. So that'll be the last one you hear on that one, but let's just say that people got to this person in time. Okay. Yeah. Eureka Element is a PATA, commercial and residential. I think that would be fantastic, rewarding, but repetition.
Yeah,
It takes a special person to be a painter.
yeah, it's true. Everyone's telling you their jobs here. Turkey Fish is working doing milk and yogurt deliveries. I'm not that much different than what Simon does for Grift.
Well, the milkman used to be the job that sucked, but it paid real well, especially when you had multiple runs.
Yeah, and the ladies like it. Hoodle Doodle does freelance web development, and he's struggling to find any decent full-time work. It's tricky.
So is Robin. So much so, he's rebranded himself as Deadpool.
Is he here? Is he?
Let me give you one tip. Do not look at where your crypto is today, Robin, because I'm telling you now, I looked at mine and it's a horror story.
Don't do it. It'll be good. We've got a lot of new names in here. It's really nice. Jackson Connolly says, "Hi Kaz, I'm heading off to Kapuka on Sunday or Tuesday. Just wanted to say thanks for all the content you create. It has helped me loads. If you're interested in going in as infantry soldier." Oh, well, good. I'm glad that was helpful for you.
Can you please read that again? Because while you were doing that, I just made my sister, Lisa Clark, a, what do you call it?
A moderator.
A moderator for the channel. I have to give her some sort of title. She's a great sister. She put up with me longer than anyone else has stayed in the saddle. Not that she was ever in my saddle, or vice versa. So she deserves something. Can we go back to love you, sis? And I'll give you a call soon.
She cracks me up. Okay, Jackson Connolly. He said, "Hi Kaz, I'm heading off to Kapuka on Sunday or Tuesday.
Sunday, bloody Sunday."
To say thanks for all the content you create. It has helped me loads. And if you're interested in going in as infantry soldier." So he's saying you've got the good oil.
Oils ain't oils, mate.
Exactly.
Mate, and I'm also actually invested in oils in Oklahoma in the Anadarko Basin, which is where Chris Watts, committed one of the worst heinous crimes. And we're not going to talk about the crime of that beautiful young girl that just lost her life due to
Waiting for stuff to come out anyway.
yeah, we'll wait on that one. But what I wanted to let you know before Ed gets out of here, I hope he's still here, is I've decided it's time to give something back to the channel. You know, it's been a long time. And one of the things that I want to do, and I'm going to put a video out in the next few days, is we're going to have another photography competition, okay? I want you to let me know what would be good rules for this one, like how long have you got to get it. But the rules will be the phone is the only thing you're allowed to take the photo with. You know, almost all of you had a waterproof phone. I'd also like to let you know that to make it easier for you, 2 seconds, I've found an app which is called Even Longer. Now it sounds like a pornographic title, it's not. It allows you to use your phone and an app to be able, and you should watch videos on it even longer. You know, just type that in, photography, long exposure. And what it'll allow you to do is take long exposure photos on your mobile device. So that will be one of the rules, that it has to be with a mobile phone. The theme will decide on that one. But this is the photo that I took today just to be able to show you what is going on with it. And what we'll do, I'll expand this. So it looks like a normal photo. There's some trees in the water. But then when I bring this up, check out that frosty water that you can normally only get from a DSLR. Okay? From professional photography. Now, this camera will allow you to get star trails. It will allow you to get light trails, long exposures of vehicles moving. It will allow you to have exposures anywhere up to 10 hours. It's an artificial photo, which means you're not actually using f-stops, etc. to graduate the light. Okay, but what it'll allow you to do is completely change your photography game using your mobile phone to be able to take long exposures where, for example, you could get Lauren in a telephone box, dead still, give it a signal for dead still, and while people are walking past, if you did it for a 3-second exposure, they would all look like ghosts while she is pin sharp. So it's about giving you some artistic expansion to the skills that you would have within the realms of photography while keeping the budget extremely low. Now, it would cost you for that app even longer, I'm not sponsored, about $16 because $7 to get the app, but to get all the features, it's another $9 a year, an annual for Spanish people. Dora, it's okay, no swiping. And basically but you need to have a hobby. And for those in the military, I'm telling you now, you are in the perfect position outside OPSEC security taking photos of battle management systems, etc., or sensitive equipment. You want to have photos of your military career, which means you can take a phone out, righto, tell your platoon sergeant, platoon commander, section commander, take it out there and say, can I be the photographer of the platoon? And you'll get some stellar photos. And with this app, this will allow you to get moments, that will be amazing. 3-second exposure, soldiers standing in water, waist deep. Tell them, stand still, dickhead. And then do that shutter, boom, press it. Okay, and then what you're going to have is a fantastic picture of pin-sharp soldiers with beautiful action flowing water around them. Different is better than good, and different will make me vote for you. Make Australia great again. So that one out the way. Photography competition coming up, and we'll be giving away a GoPro 10 with a tripod so that you can start to build a vlog, build a video diary channel around what impresses you. So we'll get into that, and that's a way of giving back.
You tell me when you want to go back to the comments, because I've got some here waiting for you.
Okay, wait a sec. Mr. Tree, what is he saying? I want to answer this question.
Yeah, he wants to drop out of school, and he's wondering what your advice would be about it. Hey, Kaz, I hate school and have been wanting to drop out to join the ADF for at least a year now, but my parents have said no. I happen to turn 18 this year. Do you think it would be wise to drop out?
No.
And the advice he's getting from Ed B and Simon, and like we always say, staying in school is not just for the grades. It shows that you can complete something, that you can have a commitment and see it all the way through.
Time spent on education is really wasted,
Exactly.
And there's going to be times in the military where Ed will admit, okay, Mr. P will admit, Mr. Buckaroonie will admit, well, you're going to go on courses that you don't want to do, that do suck. And one of those is Kapuka, righto? Yeah. But it's about staying power, it's about completion. It's about being, no one's going to ask your score when you've got a HSC. They just want to know, do you have it? Yeah, because the first thing that happens if you have a fraction of schooling, people go, we've got someone with a problem, have we?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no rush, man. There's no rush. And you remember, you're going to be maturing, okay, as you're also learning. And if the worst case scenario, say to yourself, I know it sucks, but mum and dad, I'm going to use this as free training time without people saying, how come you haven't got a job? Your kids and those goddamn skateboards.
Exactly. The stick man's got some wisdom there. He says until you're out of school, you won't know what you'll use it for. And that's the truth.
It is true, and sometimes it is a necessity for the basic amount of education required to step through some doors. So I would say do it, and worst case scenario, maybe there's Jessie's girl in that year who comes in this year, and you decide, holy shit, I've got a crush on her, just a little crush. I was a songbird of my generation.
He turned into a unicorn then for a second. There's someone called Hayley K here.
Hey, Kay Haley.
Wants some tips for someone going into the infantry. Is that for yourself, Hayley? Because if it is, it would probably be different.
Yeah, Hayley, I've got to tell you, and people come to this channel, okay, because they want honesty. Now, what I definitely recommend to you, Hayley, I'm assuming your gender, there's only two, that you're a woman. Okay, if that's the case, I recommend you get onto Patreon. Therefore, that you and I can have a full, long, detailed discussion on what DFR won't tell you and things that I know that you won't be able to find out from anywhere else about your upcoming career, and the reason why I don't recommend females go to infantry under any circumstances. And I'm willing to have that candid conversation with you.
You're
Okay.
right, Hayley, but I would also recommend the Patreon.
Yeah.
So you could have a one-on-one with Kaz.
With the bat phone, which means this is the phone. Yep.
Yeah, I'll put a link in because what they tell you in the glossy brochure for recruiting is not necessarily reflects the reality that you'll be facing when you get there.
And the worst thing is, Hayley, they'll tell you exactly what you want to hear to make you sign a piece of paper.
Exactly. And I would hate for you to think that this is an anti-female channel. It's absolutely not.
I've never slept with a man.
No, and there's many, many strong females here who have done very well in different fields, and it's absolutely got nothing to do with that. It's just a bit of a cold, hard reality, and I think you should hear it so you can make a fully informed decision.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, Hayley, that we're not with you for the short term. We're not there to tell you just what you want to hear. When you want someone that can give you advice about being in the cold, when you ring up and we answer the phone and speak to you for a long period of time on something that you think everyone else would think is silly because they don't share your passion.
Exactly.
Okay, we're not those people. We will be there and we will communicate with you. And you'll be then the one that steps away and goes, when people often say to us, because we're talking about employment tonight, okay, what does the army give you when you get out? Well, I'd like to back that up by simply saying I still have never met someone who regretted getting in the army. Okay, regardless of the injuries that they can sustain, whether it be sporting, whether it be field, whether it be operational, whether it be mental, whether it be psychological, whether it be physical. But when you have been in the military and you've lived a completely different life and it's all team orientated, it's all about discipline, it's all mission orientated, I guarantee whoever gets you next after this that you choose to go to as a volunteer will think of you as an asset, because the HR department doesn't always share the same ambition for their workforce as the employer, the manager, the CEO, director. So you have intangible skills that if a carpenter was to leave carpenter woodwork, he would necessarily not have any skills in other areas. An accountant would be good with his pay, but not good in other areas. Military, you are living your life while getting paid, subsidised for things that other people would pay for, while living this life that you only get one of. And Hayley, honestly, like I said, I've never met anyone that's regretted it, and that should be a pretty big deal. Sorry?
Okay. She's in the conversation. She said she's wanting to climb the ranks and become a recruit instructor.
You say that until you get in, and then you won't want to be a recruit instructor. All of these jobs look glossy until you get there.
They do, and look, truly, they're lying to you. The recruiting, we've talked about this many times, Hayley. To the point where we've come to the conclusion. We've really gone into it. We've thought about it. We've discussed it, and we've come to the conclusion that it's actually a lie to meet a quota and to virtue signal, and that is what they're selling you is a lie.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a cramp. Back.
Where was it?
Bicep. Yeah. Sometimes it just improves in size overnight. Jordo disagrees, Kaz. It says Deadpool. Guys, to Brook, I'm glad it's on the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. I hope that Nemo is stuck inside it with a Taiwan fisherman. You cannot stress to people enough about job selection when you're young, because you don't realise, honestly, guys and gals, how short the amount of time is that you've got to get your goddamn shit together and make a decision. You might hate being a tradie. You might hate being a dental nurse. You're going to hate being a psychologist. For some reason, everyone wants to go there and listen to everyone else's shit. I don't know why. It's Josh. I just got that name wrong then. But when you go to the military, especially when you're going more towards your infantry. It's about friendship. It's about sports. It's almost like being a big kid. We go to sports carnivals wearing our yellow shirts, red shirts, green shirts, and blue shirts. Not to mention support company, okay, and admin company, and we march to the carnival to compete. We're like kids, and we've got our own bands and everything. And you're getting paid to do this, making mentors, getting skills. But when you're in a unit and you've got 600 or 700 people, unless you're in 2RAR, which has got about 350, amphibious reconnaissance group, what was I going to say? You're making a network of people that one day you could be knocking on their door. They could be in charge of companies, entrepreneurial. I know shitloads of people that have got $1 million situations plus that were military. Company CEOs that were actually enlisted soldiers. Yep.
Hayley said her other jobs she's interested in are artillery and MPs.
Okay.
Would artillery be okay for a lady?
No, normally not. Okay, there's a lot of jobs within there, but all I'll say is artillery, like infantry, is not good for your back. Okay. Look, and I'm not saying don't do these things. I'm just saying buyer be warned. That's all I'm saying. MPs, they try to represent that they are like police, and they are not. They are not police. But there is some awesome jobs within MPs, but you rarely meet a happy one. You know, this is why we come to this channel. It might seem like I'm trying to piss on your parade, Hayley. I'm not.
No. What I get from Hayley, right? She's got this great heart. She wants to get in there. She wants to serve. She doesn't just want to be a clerk. She wants to get in there. She wants to get her hands dirty. What roles would you recommend for a lady who is wanting to do that?
Signals Corps.
Signals.
You're dealing with telecommunications, and you can be either. It can be as advanced as you want it to be. Intelligence Corps.
Get in there. She doesn't just want to, sort out pay. She wants to really do something with her hands.
Well, intelligence is a fantastic corps.
Yeah, ladies shine in intelligence.
Yep. There's a lot of females in engineers. There's a lot of females in Signals Corps. All of these roles can be part of battle groups working with infantry battalions. Transport is a fantastic one, but it's a very political one. It's like transport is a lot like the not the children of the corn. It's there's a lack of supervision there, and there's a lot of frivolities happen there. But there's also some fantastic roles within movements, etc., that have you moving all over the world.
And having said that, I've interviewed some ladies who were in transport, and they were actually really great ladies. They were really strong ladies. They changed their own tires and all that stuff, and they did everything like they should, and they were really great ladies. So, some people love it.
What's that support company were holding hands? No, they weren't, Dave Penson. You go back to Nam, sir. Inconspicuous daddy. A bit broken there. Because I just don't want you to do something that potentially your parents want you to do just to wrap yourself in cotton wool. Honestly, after 24 years of a blessed career, I was talking to my daughter today as we were talking about things like religion. We're talking about what is the hardest working lady maybe in history. Because she thought I'm going a little bit hard on the ladies, and I'm going more, I want you to have every opportunity to succeed in whatever you do love, but I've got to be able to tell you the truth on some things. And you've only got to go to the grenade range and watch a woman throw a grenade, and I'll tell you what, there's no feminists there. Everyone shits himself when a woman's throwing a grenade. 15 metres casualty radius, and the average girl can throw about 7 metres. It's a pretty scary opportunity. But she was talking about religion. I said, well, that's funny because, your dad actually, went to Israel a lot. I've been in the water where Jesus was baptized. I've been to Tiberias where the Roman consul that was there decided we can only have this much land, and I was standing in the amphitheatre with the, what is it, Adriatic or whatever in the background with perfect acoustic sounds, to have been on Mount Scopia, to open the park at the western trenches of Beersheba.
We've got sound problems. We've got audio problems.
No!
Yeah. Okay, you sound like Darth Vader. Lisa says the mic is crackling.
So let's blame the mic. It's always Mike Brady's fault.
This is a new problem. This is a new sound problem.
Huh. The messages are coming through.
Okay, I'll just ask if it's a new problem or if it's the old devil mic.
Okay.
If it's the devil mic, they're not screaming.
Can we work with it?
I'll just ask them. Because, you know, the deep voice doesn't worry us. You know, when we get that, we just keep going.
Yep, and for those that don't know, Daz has got 6 new cows too, as part of the cattle project. Deadpool reckons it was my singing. No, it wasn't Robin. It wasn't Robin.
It wasn't his singing. He turned into a unicorn for a minute. A buzzy mic. Okay.
Do you want me to start it again?
How buzzy?
Don't get a trade, Zach. Zane. Sorry,
Nicole says it's okay.
my,
Let's keep going.
my eyes are glued on.
Yeah,
No.
Lisa says it's okay.
If you want to take a trade seriously, do the army first. Go to do 4 years. Go over to engineers. Get paid an adult trade with better qualifications, and do it through the military system, rather than come back and do it as an apprentice, potentially for a tradesman who might be giving you the runaround.
Yeah.
You know, do it in a regulated area, you know, where you're going to get paid the same, because you're not allowed to take a pay cut when you move over.
Hayley, you're very welcome for the tips and that. Stick around in the community. You know, we're full of ideas, if nothing else, and we will always tell you the truth, even if it's something you don't want to hear. And we're here for the whole journey. Even if you go, stuff them, I'm going to try for the infantry. Don't just wipe us off. We're still here to be your cheerleaders. We will try and help you as best we can.
Yes, we will.
But she really wants to do something physical based, which I don't understand. Okay, like I said, she wants to get in there. She wants to get her hands dirty, something physical. I don't think MPs is that physical, so you probably wouldn't enjoy that. I don't think.
No, there is some good roles in there. It's just whether you get those roles. There's like route provers, you know, and they can be on motocross bikes. There is close point protection, you know, where you're going to actually carry your weapon at a weird angle to protect someone that you wish was dead. That's a funny one. Zane, Buccarini, cheers. Dad doesn't want you to join the army at all. He might know you better than you know you, mate. Maybe that's wise advice from him. But I'll tell you now that if he was in the army and he was saying that to you, I'd go, okay, maybe Dad had a bad experience, I don't know. But you can't keep doing just what your parents want to do. As long as you are working, and it's something that's honourable, your parents should allow you to fly from the nest. Unless he's got his own trade business and wants you to follow in his footsteps. I'm not going to try and disrespect your father, mate, because he's going to be there forever and has already been there forever and created you, we think. So,
I understand your parents wanting you to do that. Look, sorry about the microphone. You're just all going to have to suffer in your jobs, okay?
yeah.
That's how it's going. Good night, Mr. P.
I bet you Burke and Wills, their dads didn't want them exploring either, and that would have been good advice.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Rob Wall, that might not be bad advice. Rob Wall was suggesting to Hayley that she could always be a sailor, because there is some really physical jobs there too in the Navy, isn't there? It's quite a good job.
I've got to tell you, Hayley, my second choice of role, if it wasn't being infantry or armoured corps, etc., it would have been actually being in the Navy. You know, not a cabin boy, because that guy cops a rogering that I couldn't put up with. You know, how much poor cream can you go through? But if I wanted to get swiped right by men, I'd go to jail. All right? You know.
But I understand what she's saying. Like Dave said, every job in the army is physical. But I understand what she's saying. She doesn't want to be sitting in an office, and that's, you know, admirable. That's her choice. That's what she wants. And there's probably heaps of jobs that she could do where she would be out and about and in amongst it and being able to use, you know, the body you know, so I think transport might even be a good one for that.
Transport is a good one,
Yeah.
but it is a little bit children of the corn. You know,
It is.
a lot of frivolities happen there.
Yeah. If you like frivolities, go for it.
Now,
Yes, around. Keep coming back, Hayley, and keep us. We love to hear about your journeys.
and it could be worse. You could be this person here, the person who is with the scientists testing how many mosquitoes they get on. There's that person in the top right, the top centre, who is working in a silent bubble of anguish in an office, hates their job, hates their boss, doesn't get paid well, and their job never finishes even when they're at home. Then you've got the Bricky guy from what looks like Istanbul or somewhere. You've got, this is an actual job. That guy in the centre is actually from India, and he's a sewage pipe clearer, and they get paid $3.50 a day, and they also get a bottle of piss, a bottle of alcohol on top of that to be able to cleanse their palate to get rid of the filth. And this guy's got the best job of all. Not too bad, the high-vis guy dragging the dead roadkill. You know, a bit of good sauce there. It hasn't been waited, and it's marinated in the sun. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like those guys who clean the Fatphobics under London in the pipe.
That makes me feel sick.
I don't know how they do it. They said you get used to the smell, but I
No.
don't think I could. Because it's like human fat.
Yeah, that's if some of you are too young to remember the movie Fight Club, but when that bag, you know, of human fat tears off, I tell you what, guys, you know, I am a little bit what do you call it? Fatphobic, but that's because I've been working in a trauma centre in hospitals and seen what people look like after high impact incidents and what the inside of the body looks like, and it ain't pretty.
Yeah. Oh God, there's so many comments. We better get to chat. And also, by the way, welcome everybody who we've never seen your name before. There's a lot of new folk, and it's great to see you.
And if I call you Betty, will you call me Al?
Always. Leonard said, I can't say your last name, Leonard, sorry. I'm going to be joining the Army in July as a drone operator. Oh, well, stick around and keep telling us what that's like, because we get a lot of people asking about that.
Feel free to drone on.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know anything about this role? Oh, no, you see, we were hoping you could tell us.
Well, the funny thing is, I actually was showing drones to people
There you go.
5 years ago and how they can be used at the School of Infantry for forward observation for advancing troops in urban environments. I've done videos on it before, but they were on my hack channel.
Bye, Ed. I'll catch up.
Ed's got to go. Ed's from the USA team. Right, fantastic guy. We love you, bro.
Yeah, I can't stick, man. He can't fix the mic right now. We're sticking with it. If it's unreadable, let us know. But if you can still hear us, we're going to stick with it.
Hit that like button, folks.
You sound like a transformer, Kaz. Which one, though?
Transformer to a man.
More than this.
I'm thinking about getting a sexual re-agenda so I can become a man.
I heard you don't need any help in that department.
Yeah, true.
So I won't talk about that.
And remember, that app for photography is even longer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm catching up with an ex-New Zealand soldier and veteran. I'm looking forward to seeing him. We're going to go and have some Vietnam food there, Mr. Where is he?
Mr. Who? Who are you looking for?
Where's our fantastic Vietnam Dave Penson?
He's in there somewhere.
Okay.
He's busy with Anthony.
Or Kaz really wanted to be a sailor on a sub filled with seamen at the head of the maintenance sailor. Mate, Rob, for that comment, I wish you were on the Kursk.
Come on. Hey, that's harsh. Ruffles funny. Come on now. He's the gift giver extraordinaire.
He's the competition. For those that didn't know before, who is the boss of the Australian Army? When you type it in, guess who it is? It's the Queen. The lass that has been parting the crowds by her work ethic since she actually served in World War II. That's how long she's been working for. World War II, all the way through to now, and her siblings, especially Meghan Markle, couldn't keep up for 1 week with what was required of the appointment of a royal individual. Why is that so important? I'll tell you why. If you were wearing an Australian uniform, Army, Air Force, Navy, probably even the police, fire brigade, etc., and you say anything about the Queen, you can be charged. Because she is the commander-in-chief, so to speak. She is the boss. The reason the executive branch has a commission is that has been granted by the Queen. She is the figurehead. You know, she doesn't do anything wrong. She deserves the respect she gets.
Yeah, exactly.
When we have a dinner, we do a formal toast to the Queen. I always get confused that a toast is actually a drink, not a drink of toast. It's two different words, team.
Yeah. I may get on the Patreon, Hayley, and have a talk with Taz about it one-on-one. But like we said, we're here for the whole shebang. If you go ahead with it, we still want you to succeed and not get damaged.
Yep. And we've got a whole bunch of people at the moment that are, bam, nearly 1 week down in Kapuka. What do I mean by that is Monday is a write-off. Tuesday is a write-off. They're the 2 days where people put their hand up in the air. They give their oath or affirmation, which means you swear on the God or you swear on Queen, to do everything to uphold the orders that you were given to defeat enemies or threats, man-made or natural, domestic or abroad. And basically from there what happens is you get on a bus and you go to Kapuka. When you go to Kapuka, or your equivalent for Navy, okay, or Air Force, then the first couple of days is you mustering in there. You know, you won't even necessarily get out of uniform straight away. You know, and you might even have 10 days plus of COVID quarantine, despite the fact that if you're in Victoria, you can have COVID and go back to work 7 days later. None of it makes sense. But there's no days off. There's no weekends off. There's always a job to do, and your day starts at 6 in the morning and it finishes at 10 at night. Why? That's a long day. Why does it stop on the dot? You have to be in bed by 10 o'clock for the reason they must take away any of your excuses for bad performance the following day by getting you to have 8 hours unbroken sleep, except in the field environment. That's why. I'm not sure that app is available. No, it's not. Turkey fish, gobble gobble pescaro. You know, it's not available on Android. I'm sorry. It's only for the Jews.
Okay, Brian the Korean has a question for you.
Yes.
It's a practical question. Hey Kaz, when you're at Kapuka doing your 80 days, do you get opportunities to leave barracks?
No.
Also, how would you get more toothpaste, deodorant, soap when you run out at basic training?
Okay, I'll answer those questions. It's quite easy. Okay, there is 2 times, or 3 times where you will leave base. One time, okay, well, there's a couple of times where you'll actually go into the town itself of Kapuka at Wagga Wagga, which is not a racial slur, and that is to test you. It might only be for 4 hours or so. You know, where you'll go in there and get some Kentucky. For some reason, everyone goes straight to Kentucky. There's another time where you should get what they call Cinderella leave, where you might go home for, I think it's a couple of days and come back. They probably canned that since the COVID-19. There is the trip to the War Memorial that you don't go on if you're Army Reserve, but you do go on if you're regular. And hopefully that's been re-implemented so people understand the gravity of their signature. That you go and look on the Wall of Honour and actually see those that have given the ultimate price for Australia, the reason we don't kneel, the reason we call Australia home, the reason we realise that freedom isn't free. And it's a very touching time. And then ultimately what will happen is you'll have your march out on a Friday, okay, and then you'll be given weekend leave, but you must be back if you haven't got a hotel to stay in with receipts that you're going to be with your family over the weekend. You have to be back at 10 o'clock at night or something like that, and there'll be buses provided for that. But the whole point is you've got to assume that you're going there the entire time, and extra if you get back squatted, right? And that will be 6 in the morning to 10 at night every day. Joshy Fawns, Kentucky the Colonel. Yep, he's always in charge of us, mate. He's got nice legs.
Yeah, exactly. I am listening, Nicole. Thanks very much. I am listening. I'm listening to everything that's being said. As always, I'm here.
What was Sydney saying?
Yeah. No, we're just talking about the microphone. I've been talking to Steve about it before. We are going to come up with a better system than you holding the phone up to the microphone. We've talked about it a lot.
Look, the reason why we do that is because I don't have Discord. You know, I'm not a fan of Discord, and I've already got too many comments that that I'm always responding to. And for those that don't know, we've had a lot of chaos happening since an incident, since a previous stream, where a young fella is in harm's way, and we've been offline trying to sort that out, and that's why I haven't necessarily been on here making videos.
And that's another reason why we do watch everything you guys say. Because one, we're liable for what you say,
Yep.
and two, we do watch it because some of you are in trouble. And also, it's like with this, like Hayley, right? I don't want to talk about her like she's not here. Let's talk to her. She is here.
Yep.
So if you're making comments about her, why don't you talk to her instead of about her? Sorry, just a little housekeeping.
That's not a bad thing from Rob there. What he's saying, hey Hayley, be a firefighter, earn $200 grand a year, and go to the gym and play video games while at work. One thing I would say about that, and Rob knows that I'm legit when I say this, is be very careful, because firemen have got nothing to do with fire anymore. They're pretty much always to do with road trauma. So be careful about allowing the devil, okay, through the front door. You know, it can be a tough one. Drunk Aussie, g'day Kaz and team, how you doing? I wish I was drunk at the moment. It'd only take a third of a six-pack. Is he going to be okay? I don't know the details, Lise. I don't know the details, but we were here for him, and the fact was he came to us when he went to no one else.
Yeah,
So
I hope he's going to be better. So it's actually quite a sad thing.
it is, and any given.
If you're a praying person, you know, pray for him or send in good vibes or something.
Yep, sending those good vibes.
Yeah.
Because at the end of
It's
the
been on my mind for days. I haven't been able to get him out of my head.
and we had conversations in the back play, because any day, Nicole King, Daz, Robin, okay, Dave D, Kane, my sister, may be the person that is all of our focus on to help them out. You know, whether it's with Daz with cattle, whether it's my sister with needing a new mobile phone. Hey Hayley, thank you for that. Thanks for the help. Your channel helps a lot. One sec.
Yeah. No, you're most welcome, Hayley.
Not too, Cal.
I appreciate you coming here to hear what we've got to say.
Life can always get worse, but I tell you what, it can also get bloody better. And one of the videos we want to make, Hayley, Frosty, Mr. Buckaroony, Nicole, Lisa, etc., is what are 5 non-negotiables you want in your life. To me, it's water. I need to have water in my life, and I don't mean to drink it. As a matter of fact, I don't. I need to have conversations, robust conversations. I need internet, i.e. YouTube, i.e. education. I need that. I need travel. Yeah, I need that. Okay, and what I also need is peace and knowing that my daughter is in good hands. If I've got those, I don't need a 5-bedroom house. Yet we spend our whole life trying to get a 5-bedroom house,
Exactly.
but then don't end up getting anything that we actually have as our can't live without. Do you understand where that weird circle is? Hey, Mr. Buckaroony, you know what? You're not meant to give tips to other YouTubers. Well, you know what he's after? Special treatment for the photography competition.
No, it's not. And I love the little like emoticon thing he's done there.
Not too cow. Mr. Buckaroony, I'm going to have to come back and give you the same money back, mate.
We appreciate the love because it's been a little bit difficult for Kaz and I talking about this young fella over the last couple of days because you can feel very helpless.
Yeah. And as much as I'd like to talk about it, one thing I will say, you know, is you can really put some stumbling blocks in front of yourself once you've taken actual action to reach out for help, because what it can do is disqualify you from other opportunities or the opportunities of life, and it can make your own family look at you in a different way where they feel that they need to be in your back pocket potentially forever. So,
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Kane.
Kane! There you go, mate. He is the Northern Parrot.
Yeah, exactly, and his homies.
Half galah, half clock.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
two.
Motorbike stunts up there. So 5 things. You see, mine would be no drama piece again, because at this stage in my life, I just have zero tolerance for dramatic. 2, I love long lunches. I love slow eating. I love talking to people while I'm having a meal. I like breaking bread with people. What else? I like the ocean, the beach, nature. I have to have nature in there. I have to have laughter. I love joy and laughter and fun. And also, letting go of your past is really important. Living in the future. And some people waste so much of their lives seeking retribution for wrongs they think have happened to them, or things like that. You've got to let it go. You've got to move on.
Yeah, and you cannot blame someone for the sins of the father. You cannot blame someone for something that, one, didn't happen in their lifetime, or that they didn't perpetrate themselves. That's why you can't hate all police. You can't hate all nurses just because you got an STD from one after 1995 when you went to the Mad Cow opening and shared a couple of kebabs with her and a wine and then went home itchy. I knew that. I knew someone like that. That wasn't me. But to those nurses, call me. Carl P's here. Now there is a man who is starting 22 with a bang, so she said.
Frosty, that's fine to repeat questions because I don't.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the chat rolls really quick and I'll see them, but then they've gone before I get to them. So I'll ask him now. Hey, Kaz, would you have considered joining Commando rather than infantry when you joined? Also, are you a Christian?
I am a Christian, mate. I am a Christian, and I try to live my life as a Christian. And despite I have, if you were to listen to me on any given day, with complete candidness, you could come across with a whole lot of titles that I would look like I'm guilty of. But then when you heard my whole conversation in the loop, you'd realise I'm a realist. I talked about the current issues no matter what they make people feel, because when you stop talking about things, they become straw men, not stick men, straw men, and then they can be used as a cudgel, and we don't like that. The answer to Commandos, they weren't around when I joined, other than being an Army Reserve, and then I was in 4AR, and when that delinked, 4AR was the initial Commando battalion, okay, known as 4AR still, and then it became the 2nd Commando Regiment. Now, if I had the choice of being in the Special Air Service Regiment, Western Australia, who dares wins, or without warning, the 2nd Commando Regiment, I would be joining the 2nd Commando Regiment. You do have to be in infantry before you go to Commandos, and you shouldn't rush to Commandos because the time you do with the qualifications of being infantry, 343, the Royal Australian Regiment, the Queen is our boss, is because that is where you learn to hunt humans. How do you learn to hunt humans? Because when you are actually doing your battalion time, you start to think, what do I do when it's hot? What do I do when it's cold? What are the times of day I get lazy? When it's freezing cold? What is the time when I am most susceptible? And that's going to help you when you plan to hit an unexpected threat force when they least expect it from an angle that is not anticipated, most dangerous course of action, and win the day. Because you have to win every single time. If you don't win, then there's going to be songs written about you.
Yeah, exactly. That's some good advice people are giving you there, Hayley. She was just asking about the assessment day. Dave D's given you some good tips. Inconspicuous Daddy has given you some good tips. They're all good advice. We've talked about it a lot, and that's the advice Kaz gives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, again, I I absolutely love what we do. I wish I could completely change the subject to talking army, but every time I think I'm sick of talking about army, despite the fact that I'd go back today as a volunteer worker, not that I was a real worker before, a lurker, but then I think to myself, when someone asks me a question and I can hear the passion in their goddamn voice, that please, Kaz, don't give up on telling us what we need to hear just because I finally turned 18 or just because I found your shadow band channel today, then you make it feel worth it again.
Exactly. And, you know, you've got a lot of wisdom to give. You're willing to give it.
She means I'm old.
Soak it up. And whenever we get this great feedback of people saying, thanks, like earlier when someone said, I've been in 3 years now, thanks for the advice, that makes it all worthwhile.
That's a good point from Nicole too. She was saying, believe it or not, you will become a Christian when you enlist. It's actually a very, because on Sundays, when you go to Kapuka, the first rookie bonus we can give you is, you say you're religious, it's all denominations, but on Sunday, if you're not religious at Kapuka, then you'll be cleaning up. If you're religious, you go to where the Salvation Army man is, if they're still there, and you have a cup of coffee, you hear an all-denomination sermon, and you get to just chill out and talk to each other for a while and not feel like you're in Starlight 13. Nicole, you know what we think about the menstrual cow size, donations. They're not necessary, they're appreciated, but they are not necessary. I'm going to spend that on getting over my addiction to tubes. Or, no, that can go towards the GoPro 10. Thank you very much, mate. And I do agree with what you said about the Christianity. And you know what? I find that I became more religious when I went overseas, and I actually saw people who had nothing but hope.
Exactly.
They had no possessions, they had no safety, their police are corrupt, so is their army, and they were just ticking their time to the day that their door is the one that gets pushed in. And the only thing they had left was hope. It takes less energy to live as a Christian than what it does to live as an atheist. And I don't care if you are or not. I'll care if you look after you all the same regardless.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Some of the people I love the most are actually practicing Satanists, and they're lovely folk, you know.
Well, you can't believe in one without the other.
Well, and it's true. The truth is, if I want to be able to choose my faith, I have to allow other people to choose theirs.
Well, a lot of people probably don't know the only reason why Christians got their ass kicked in Rome was because they said, our God is the only God. And they said, oh, whoa. They said, we don't frown on any of your gods. All we say is that you acknowledge that everyone's exist. Because if you say that yours is the only one, you're telling me that mine doesn't exist. And that's going to piss some people off. And every time any religion has said that they are the only religion, that they are the only God, guess what happens? War. You know, people say, how come, wars are all started over religion? Okay, let me explain something there. The reason is because it was the foundation of all laws. All laws were based on religions. That's why there's different laws in different countries.
Not all atrocities have been. Look at Stalin and Mao. That was actually anti-religion that did that. Turkey Fish has said the lack of sugarcoating and the tough questions and topics is refreshing. I like that too.
Yeah, so do I. I do. Leah Wanker Stuntman. Look, I often have really in-depth conversations, whether it's with Dave D, whether it's with Carl, whether it's with Zachy Wynn. You know, there is so many people, Lauren especially, you know, and we get some heated debates, I tell you now.
We do, that's true.
Yeah.
We love each other.
Yeah, there is times I would sell Lauren to a camel caravan. I swear to God.
There's times I'd happily go to get away from you. But we always end up going, look, I'm just gonna walk away for a minute, then we come back and we talk to each other again. And we even talk about the same subjects again.
Yep.
When we talk, there is no subject off limits. You know, so we always try to come to an understanding, and that we don't
talk about any subject. When you talk to me, there is nothing that is taboo. Nothing. And so when people talk to you and they think you're opinionated, you go, no dude, I'll talk about any subject, any. And most people are scared to do that. I'm not scared to do that. I've never won a fight. I know how it ends. Brian the Korean, and I love my sister. Imagine that poor girl, how happy she was when I moved out of the house and joined the army. She was probably hoping that I'd get killed every time I was overseas.
No, that's a wicked thing to
Well,
say.
I would have made sure she was in my will.
Stop it, that's still a wicked thing to say. She's a great sister. She would never wish anything like that on you. She obviously loves you very much. Well, you're lovable.
Sometimes. Brian the Korean says, Kaz, what do infantry soldiers do when on training exercises? Okay, Brian, for starters, North or South Korean?
Yeah, he did say, I'll just clarify, not on training exercises, so in downtime.
Okay, not in training exercises. Okay. And for two, I'd like to say thank you very much. You know, Korea is a major off-take agreement with the QPM, which is the shares that I'm currently invested in with Korea, and they're doing very well. Thank you very much in the Townsville EV market precinct that's about to take off. Thank you, sir. What do? Whatever we want that doesn't break the laws, okay, of either the military judicial system or that of regulations. Don't smoke pot. Don't do drugs. You can drink. Don't get an alcohol-related incident. You're trained to know better than get yourself in those situations, but we all do. Stick together. If your mate's in hospital, you'd better be in the bed beside him. Don't leave a man behind. Okay, and when I say man, I mean both genders. When it comes to 3 o'clock, you'll be complaining that you're not knocked off, which is officially at 4 o'clock. The benefits of being a private soldier is you get knocked off early, especially if you work for me. You've got a choice. You can go home and go to sleep. You can go to Mexican food. You can go for coffee. You can go and see another man's wife that doesn't get off till 4 o'clock. You can do whatever you want to do. You are a free man, but you will be observed by the civilian populace as well as your own conscience. And believe me, the word always gets back to the nest if you have done something that you shouldn't have done. So you can do whatever you want, but you're doing it with a group of 30 people. Put a thumbs up, please, if you ever get lonely. If you ever get lonely, put a thumbs up.
Well, you know, I think we're gregarious creatures.
We're a herd animal. You will not get lonely when you're in an infantry battalion. The reason why I say that is there's 30 other guys in your platoon. One of them you're not going to hang out with, that's platoon commander. The other one is the platoon sergeant. You're not going to hang out with him either. You probably won't hang out with the SIG. You're going to think that he's a brown noser. But the rest of them, including section commanders that you'll call by their name or nickname that is earned, you'll always have someone to hang out with. Always. Always. To live with, to travel with, to laugh with, to fight with, to drink with, to box with, to go to the gym with, to help you because you've got red hair and you want to meet a girl in a hot climate. All of these things. And that extends onto your holiday periods. It extends to once you get out of the military. So one thing I can say, do I ever feel loneliness now? Absolutely. You know, but lucky I've got multiple personalities. But
Well, yeah, exactly. You can feel lonely if you're surrounded by people.
you can. Especially when you are not allowed to talk the way you think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Joy Lacey, how you going, mate? Bailey Island. Bailey. I still call Australia home. Old Central, g'day, mate. I'm one of the guys going to Kapooka next week. What is going to be your last meal? As lurkers, just putting some thumbs up your comment there.
Yeah, how exciting. Yeah, how exciting. Your sister's wondering how she gets more stripes.
Hey, you got to do some time.
That's what I said, time. Deadpool suggested more push-ups, but...
Yep. Remember, your exercise you do, is for you. It pays you back. It's not just about military, it pays you back in capability. And when you're in the military, you're a professional athlete. My sister has seen me come home, how long has it been? 24 years. So she's seen me come home from holidays, from military service, 24 different times, on holidays. And I've I've never changed. I'm the same as what I was.
That's a beautiful way to look at it, 24 summers, you know.
Yeah.
That she's seen you change and grow.
Well, it didn't grow much, just...
No, as a man, I mean.
I've never been called a man yet, but I will work my way up to it. Guys and girls, I can't put a hand up your ass legally and tell you that if you don't make a good decision early, then you're only going to follow either bad decisions or be kiboshed from a future life that you wish you had. You know, you've only got to talk to Dave D or Carl P. There are two guys that are jumping out of their skin to represent on Tuesdays when they go to their Army Reserve depot to be able to put that uniform on, and both of those guys would give anything to turn back time and be wearing the Australian flag patch that they'd never kneel for, except to pick up the casket of their best friend and comrade to bring him back on his shield, so to speak. These guys, if you listen to them, and they're both very successful in their civilian lives and their family lives, and they would give anything to go back to listen to exactly what I'm telling you now.
Yeah. Good night, Simon.
Good night, Simon, mate.
Yeah. Spotty, the audio, it's just gone a bit stupid.
Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. What happened is...
rather than restarting. Sorry.
Nicole's donation was so big that it twisted the mic. You know. Okay, I don't know where I was going with that. But thank you. Deadpool, Dave. Okay, let's talk to this one again. Just so you know, guys, we're going to be doing a photography competition. Because what we talk about is military all the time, but what is denied to you a lot of times in the military is hobbies when you're out in field environments, and you're going to be in some locations that are like the bar of Return of the Jedi. And what you need to do is take photography up in your life. One, you can do it, okay, while you're alone. It is a positive thing. It is a hobby that gives you something back. You're going to be in positions within the army in areas where a human foot has probably never trodden at times. And you're going to see things in the moment that you will never experience outside a military career. And capture those moments, those friends, because when you capture a moment on a camera, it is a snapshot of time that no one will ever see other than through a Rashomon effect, which will give them a different perspective of what you're looking at. But it will also be a timestamp in your mind that will forever cement that moment unless you get Alzheimer's. And even then, it might be one of your fondest memories that stays.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do a photography competition.
Yeah.
It has to be on a phone. You know, if you can't do it because you're on a Android, you can do it. But what you won't get is the ability to...
Can they still win the GoPro?
Yeah, of course they can. But what they can't do is
The long exposure.
be able to go for this. Where are we? Desktop. Morons like us. Okay. So there's an app called Even Longer for those that came in late. I found that for you. I bought it. I've trialed it. You know, I put it past Deadpool. He loved the result. Now, this was just a test photo, team, just to show you. But if you tried to take this with your normal camera, you wouldn't be able to achieve that silkiness. So what I recommend when you get off here is that you get onto YouTube, look at Even Longer. It only works on iPhones at the moment. There's a plethora of different things it can do if you don't have professional DSLR, Sony, Canons, Nicole, etc. And take up photography as a hobby because it's fantastic. But the Even Longer will allow you to do this. It's going to cost you less than $20, you know, to get the Pro Edition. And it's going to change your game. You'll have your phone on you. The best camera is the one that's on you. And you can do things. You can provide...
Their photos.
Yeah.
Do they put it on Instagram and tag in the trenches, or do they send them somewhere?
We'll find... What we'll do is we may even end up with an email that is just for that.
That's a really good idea.
Yep.
Let's do that.
And we're going to give it a GoPro 10, you know, and a tripod that comes with it to allow you to be able to engage with your surroundings and maybe create an opportunity for yourself that you wouldn't have normally got. And it has to be on a phone. I'll give you a couple of tips. If you take a picture with a phone, never crop the picture, because your camera is only 12 megapixels. And what that'll do, it will make it grainier and harder to get to. So if you use this app, it also uses the best settings. Watch the videos on YouTube and it will give you all of the information that you need. And he's an Aussie on how to use the app. It's fantastico. Robin loves it. I love it. And our job is to bring you something new. And there you go.
Sorry, your sister and I are singing your praises.
She always hates me when we're face to face, but then she loves me when she's not there.
See, I knew you'd do that because she wrote this beautiful sentiment about you, which I would actually like to read out if you would allow me, because it actually put a bit of a lump in my throat. Okay, your sister said, always the same, but I do think you have grown into a man, and like Dad, I'm so proud of you both for stepping up and serving your country and keeping us cities safe.
That's lovely.
It is lovely, exactly. And like I said to her, she said that she doesn't think you know how appreciated you are. And I tell you every day how wonderful you are, but you always just joke it off. And, you know, and she said that's just you. And I think that's one of the things that's wonderful about you is how humble you are. You've no reason to be humble with all your achievements, but you are. So, yeah, just know that.
Gotta be appreciated.
That's it.
If I could say something as a rebuttal to that, don't be necessarily proud of what Australian soldiers have done for the towns in Australia or the world in Australia domestically, because it might be very hard for some soldiers to be able to explain, well, what difference have you made to Australia? If I was to say to you, be proud of Australians, be proud of them for what they've done for the towns, the hamlets, the villages that you couldn't even pronounce the names of, that remember when the white men came to their town and scared away the savages, so for a little while they could sleep in peace. Because the difference that Australian soldiers make in foreign countries is really appreciated, and we do save lives.
It really is. It really is. The faces of the children. You guys are the good guys.
We are the good guys.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay, well it's starting to die now. So let's get out of here. I've got Ryan Carino goes, what the trade of the army is the most fun and enriching. It's always infantry, mate.
Yeah,
I don't care about the pay of the job. No one does when they join the military. They're there for the experience, for the immersion, which is a 24-hour experience. You know, and when you're going home, especially in Townsville, which I always recommend, bookended by Too Hot Darwin, divorce weather, by Adelaide, the home of the single mum. You know, Townsville, Brisbane, too much civilian enterprise within the base. Townsville's the key location. Fantastic. It's got its own problems. It was voted shit town. But if you can buy a brand new house with a pool for $460,000, that's A-OK.
And there's Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jacks.
All right, well, thank you all the moderators. Thank you, members. Thank you everybody new who stopped in and said g'day. It was really nice to hear about you and your questions.
Yeah. It's always good. You're not alone. And remember, tomorrow you might be the one that we're dropping the tools to be there for when the people you thought as friends and family didn't answer the call. So take it easy, stay safe, and as they say in Hill Street Blues, that's a long time ago, do it to them before they do it to you. Take it easy. Thank you very much for the sesterces. Thank you for your time. And if you can do anything today, let's love your mum. Because if you don't, I will.